and welcome to 50 Shades of Blonde. I'm Missy Day.
And Jill Branson.
And we have somebody super spectacular, special on our show. She is a good friend of mine, and I met her in networking. Imagine that.
Yeah,
in
imagine
networking. A long, long time ago, and she's been on the show before. So welcome, Sophia Falke, to the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello. Yes.
So I know that you're always doing stuff all the time that's pretty darn exciting.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
tell us about the little short trip that you just went on.
Which one?
The driving all over.
Oh, the driving all
Yeah.
over. When I got back from my Peru trip, I decided it would be fun to go up to the Northeast. And I have family and friends there that I haven't seen in years. So there's part of the motivation to leave in the first place. And I just got in my car and went. And I know I've heard people say I'm so brave and how could I do that? I'm the one who took a year off between ministries, and I traveled the country so that I have now traveled all 50 states. North Dakota was my last one. So this was pretty easy, actually. And I wasn't camping the whole trip. That's what I did when I took the year off. I did a lot of camping. This one I only camped 3 nights. So and what was fun is people kept saying, well, when are you going to be here or there? When are you coming home? And the standard answer was, I don't know. And that's what I'm enjoying right now, that I can live life from I don't know, and I don't have to know.
Oh, I like that.
Right, and so many people wish that they could do that, and they can if they
Choose to.
plan.
If they plan it,
Yeah.
and if it's important. You know, for some people it's a nice fantasy, it's not important to them, and that's terrific. I enjoy traveling. I enjoy experiencing different people and certainly different parts of the country and the world, because I do have my list. And right now the short list is every continent, so I still have 3 to go. And Africa I will finally get to in February.
Oh.
And so then it'll only be 2 left. And Antarctica is one of them. And people say, well, that's crazy. And yet that just looks so spectacular and exciting. So I will do that also.
Wow.
Now, the little trip to Peru
Yeah.
was pretty
Yeah.
special because I've known you, I think, 5, maybe 5.5
More.
years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
And you were talking about Peru way back then.
Mhm.
So what was it like for you to be there?
Actually, Peru is something that I set in my own thoughts. So some people think that, you know, when you start setting an intention, it's going to happen right away. Not necessarily. There is a long germination period. Years ago, I was taking a class from a woman down in Phoenix, and we decided to buy her, and this was in the, I think, 90s. Okay, 1990s for those of you just born. And we bought her this beautiful desktop picture book of all, you know, those beautiful places in the world. And I opened it up, and the center spread was Machu Picchu. And I hadn't really heard about Machu Picchu before that. And everyone else is signing in the front cover and the back cover, and I signed on that page, someday you are going to get a postcard from me from here.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's
And
awesome.
that's what set it in motion. So that's why it was still in my thought process when we met. And yes, I did send that postcard.
You said it out loud, and that may be
Well, I wrote it down, and,
And
you know,
then-
a lot of it too is writing things down because it anchors it.
Oh, right.
I don't know if anyone's thoughts are like mine, where they go bouncing all over the place. When we write it down, we're truly anchoring it. And I believe that there are so many resources in the world and in our consciousness, and that we do have a universal consciousness, that when we really define something and revisit it and continue with that, it will come to you. You know, but we also have to take action, which is what I did. So yeah, finally, and someone wanted me to put that trip off for a year, so we could put together some grand tour, and I said no because I can do it now. I can hike Machu Picchu now. And if I'd known it was going to be as tough as it was for me in my physical condition, I didn't quite get to the level that it would have been easier. I don't know. Well, think I still would have tried it, but it asked a lot from my body, and I was asking everyone for help. I didn't care if they were older than I and they didn't speak English. If I needed help going downstairs, I asked for it, and it was beautiful, and everyone was so helpful and supportive, and I did it.
Yeah, that's the main thing. You did it.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know sometimes people, they kind of halfway get there in asking, right? In asking things. But it's so generalized. It's like, well, be specific. I remember somebody told me once, if you want X, Y, and Z, then you be specific as to, I want to,
Yeah.
like you did.
Or even put it as if you're already doing it, because that's part of it. And thank you for posting my book, Embracing Greatness, A Guide for Living the Life You Love, is the specificity of it. There's no confusion.
Right.
Because it's vagueness. And there's, well, someday I want to. Well, someday might never come, as long as you always keep it out there.
Right.
But if you start being the person who is already living that life, it's amazing how then all of those unforeseen resources come streaming to you.
Right.
And I've been experiencing things that that weren't even on my list consciously, but at one point I wrote them down. And then it's, why is this happening? And then I remembered that's something I did set the intention for and hadn't pursued that line at this moment. However, it was solidified. And then, always opening up possibilities, which is what's fun of being in the I don't know sometimes.
Right. I really like that. So let's talk about this for a second. So this book, so if you don't have it, I'm going to recommend that you get it quickly. Still on Amazon, yes?
Yes.
Embracing Greatness, Sophia Falke, A Guide for Living the Life You Love. So how many of you would like to live the life you love and not just go through the motions?
That would be
Yeah,
me.
raise your hands,
Yeah.
everybody out there.
Yeah.
So this book is awesome, and it didn't take her very long to write it either. It was just like that, and it just appeared. It's amazing.
Yes, yeah.
It's a great book.
Thank
you did a great job.
Thank you. And one of the things I'll point out about the book also is I've had a few people say, well, it's a well-written book. It's a good book. I read it. And thank you. They didn't do the exercises. And the point of the book is that you do the exercises, and in so doing, that's when the transformation occurs. And I love there are a couple of, about 3 raving fans that I have in Las Vegas, and if I see them, they are ready to point out to me, I still hear you screaming in my head, because I go to do this, and then I remember your book. And in the book, I have in caps in a few places, stop. Because I know you're going to keep reading, and you think you're going to come back, and I know you will do that. And they're like, so I went back and I did the exercise, and it still speaks to them. And I love that, because that's why I wrote the book. And thank you, Missy Day, because you were the one who told me I must write this book, because people needed to hear my voice expressing these principles that are not new. They have been taught over the millennia. These are my words.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you notice that she has blue sparkles in her hair?
Yeah, just little hints.
Yes.
I do see it.
I did that for you.
Squirrel.
Yes.
I was like,
Aw,
oh,
it's
that's
awesome.
cute.
See, when I was church minister, every Sunday I wore sparkles that matched my outfit.
Oh, you did? How
Yes.
cool.
Yes, and every day when I got home, I would do this outside so that I didn't mess up the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to read these words right
I'm going
here?
to read these words. All right. We have acceptance, allowance, appreciation, authenticity, and abundance.
So do you want to
Yes.
talk a little bit about those
I would
words?
love to talk about those words. A colleague of mine and I, and Dr. Dolores Vizino, and she is a nurse practitioner in San Diego area, we put together a webinar, 28 Days to Transformation, and it's the 5 A's, so that we take people through a process that allows them to, first of all, get in touch with what your life is like right now, because so many people fight where they are. And it's accepting this is where I am. Not that, you know, if it feels awful, not to accept the awful, but simply this is where I am. This is where I start from. And then to build on that into, you know, each of the other A's, of the 5 A's, to then transform that into abundance, which is the final. You know, and appreciation is one of them, and that is, you know, when you go into gratitude and go find gratitude even in the most difficult situation. And that's because you're focusing on it. And again, where we know when we focus our attention in one place, I think it's just basic physics, all other possibilities disappear. So it's where you choose to focus. So it's finding that kernel, even when it seems difficult, and then watching that expand, because then you're shifting who you are, how you're showing up, and you'll see that you attract a far different life to you.
Right.
So this is something, I'm getting the landing page up, 28 Days to Transformation, so that people can go and start this webinar at any point. So the workbook is already completed. We're finalizing the last of the recorded webinars and are relaunching it basically, because we've already offered it, and we're very pleased with the results we saw for the people. And what's interesting is for the book, Embracing Greatness, that I've already written, I'm developing a workbook, and that's what I'm going to be presenting in Johannesburg, South Africa in February. So that one, it would seem the logical order. For 28 days, I realized I've basically got a book started there, and since I've already got the workbook completed, now I'm writing the book to go with that.
That's awesome. I'm so darn proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Very
you.
proud of you. Sophia was actually my 5th coaching client when I started my business.
That was it. And you see, Missy Day made an offer, because I'm also a coach, and I know what a powerful opportunity is when I hear it. And she, at one of the networking events, she said, I have a certain number of slots at a certain price point. Anybody want to work with me? I was on her like glue afterward. Because I knew how good it was. So thank you for that. And I think that's when you started nagging me about the book.
I've been there.
Yeah, it's like that voice.
But I mean it. I am so proud of you, because, you know, we could sit here all day talking about your life and everything you've been through and gone through, and the ups and downs and everything. But you just keep moving, and that's the thing where people, when they get stuck and they just stop moving, and then they get stagnant, and then they get paralyzed. And you just keep moving through everything in your life, and I admire that about you.
Thank you. And if I could add, and this isn't, please don't address when I say what my age is, but when I was just 2 months short of 72, which was back in the spring, early spring, it hit me that I can't be waiting until, you know, some future date to do some
Right.
of the things I want to do. And it doesn't matter that I'm now 72, so I'm less patient with myself if I say, oh, I can do it someday. Well, I don't know what that someday might be, and I may no longer be here.
Right.
But it doesn't matter what your age, we don't know. And all you have to do is watch the news with especially some of the celebrities, and you see that they have left us in their 20s, 30s, 40s,
Right.
50s. So we don't know how much time we have. So my question is, what are you waiting for? Why aren't you doing it now? Because all those things that you should be doing, those you're just being should upon. So just look into your heart, and that's what this book will help with also. And what is it that you would love? And do it now and not wait.
So where can people that are watching the show, how can they get a hold of you?
My website is embracinggreatness.com. You can email me at sophia@embracinggreatness.com.
Awesome. Thank you very much for
Thank
being
you.
on our
I
show.
love being on
appreciate
the
it.
show.
We
Thanks
love
for
you
having
too.
me.
Thank you. Stay
Thank
tuned. Our
you.
next wow.
Say that
Next
again.
guest is Cindy Lou Herrera, and she's going to bring out some treats for us to look at. So
Ooh.
stay tuned.
So excited.
Hi, I'm Sam Peters, owner and operator of Peters Family Insurance, with 2 locations in the Summerlin area of Las Vegas. I'm running for Congress in the 4th Congressional District as well. I want to support the constituents of the 4th Congressional District with a fighting voice in Washington and bring conservative values back to America.